We return to a year in the life of fallow deer, this time during the rut, and hear from the gentleman responsible for introducing this deer species to every corner of the globe.
I was basically one of the first stalkers to shoot wild deer in Sussex with a rifle.
Plus, it's the last day of the season and it's Beaters Day, and it's your last chance to enter the Zealand Skinners Competition Beater of the Year. We will have the results of the Härkila rucksack competition. We've got news, we've got hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. If unseasonable weather has got us confused, then it's certainly playing havoc with the wildlife. It's the 28th of October 2017 and Phiz has been waiting for the fallow rut to get into gear. This, like many a recent year, has been warm, too warm, which means the fallow deer in these woods are not exhibiting typical behaviour.
7, 8 years ago, when I'd come out in the rut, you used to have to wear really thick gloves because it would be very cold, frost on the ground, and certainly the rut would be a lot more active in that. There'd be a lot more bucks running around, a lot more bucks fighting. Today is actually the coolest day we've had all year, and it seems like no coincidence that it's also been the most active as far as the rut's concerned as well.
Phiz has one of the largest and possibly oldest rutting stands on his ground, and it is being uncharacteristically quiet. But with a 12-degree drop in temperature overnight, we're hoping to capture one of the most exciting moments in the year in the life of a fallow deer. Before we take our chances at the rutting stand, Phiz wants us to meet someone pretty important in the deer world. Fred Marshall used his knowledge of deer to come up with the technique for exporting wild deer by air, and it was so successful he sent them to every corner of the world, establishing parks and breeding programs across Europe to China and New Zealand.
When did you take up deer stalking, Fred?
Well, as stalking, I suppose, was in '58 when I took a rifle.
Okay.
And that was a 9mm Mannlicher, open sights. It had been Dr. McIndoe's in East Grinstead.
Okay.
And he used it he called it his zebra rifle. And when he died, his wife sold all his rifles, and I was fortunate enough to
You picked that one up.
Yeah. And it did its job.
It did the job all right.
Yeah.
So you had open sight. So what was your sort of maximum distance you'd shoot at with that?
Well, I sighted it in at 300 yards. I was learning.
Right.
There was nobody to teach me.
So you must have had one of the first rifles and firearm certificates in this whole area?
Yes, there were very few people with full-bore rifles in Sussex. Mainly it was landed gentry that shot in Scotland. So I was basically one of the first stalkers to shoot wild deer in Sussex with a rifle.
When Fred started managing deer, there were 200 fallow in Ashdown Forest. Over time, other isolated populations came together to create a force of nature.
We're now getting a deer that are crossing with deer from other parks. And it has improved the antlers, if anything.
Has it improved the quality? It's not all bad.
But in the old days, to see a palmated fallow was almost... it was years before I shot a palmated fallow.
Now Phiz, like many deer managers, knows the economic value of a deer carcass. So can you guess what Fred was making in the 50s and 60s, if anyone would buy it?
You got paid £1 a pound for a carcass of venison in those days, £1. But if you shot them in the neck, you got 1 and 3. So I learnt to shoot deer in the neck very quickly.
It may sound a little, but a nice buck did pay for his first scope, though it wasn't a Swarovski. Time for the rutting stand and for Phiz to put his binos to the test. He's bringing his Blaser R8, but he never shoots on or near the stand.
We tend not to shoot the bucks ever from the actual stand because that completely upsets the stand. So we have high seats positioned generally 200, 300, 400 metres around, not far from the stands. There's often a lot of movement from the prickets in particular, and they'll be coming through to go and actually have a look at what's happening in the main stands. And as they come through, if they hopefully go past one of the seats, someone will get one. When we first came in, it was pretty quiet. And then this big guy, which is lying down, he started grunting. And then a group of does and a pricket came running in from another direction. It just seemed to stir it up. What's interesting is, a week ago when normally the rut would be in full swing, it was completely dead.
There is movement, but it looks as if we've arrived the morning after, the night before. Everyone looks a bit worse for wear. There are a few youngsters with a spring in their steps, but the master buck looks absolutely shattered. One of the concerns about the late rut is the youngsters are born that much later in the season and need to get strong quick.
We found some fawns in the last couple of years in late summer that have been, really, really tiny. Again, all we can think of is that it's the rut is getting later and it's continuing well into November, and the result of that is late born fawns and smaller fawns that probably have survived the last few winters because the winters haven't been harsh, but if we do get a hard winter, some of those smaller fawns just won't make it.
On the other side of the estate, Phiz's friend Rob Gearing has been up a high seat waiting for bucks.
Lots of row.
Was there?
Lots of row, but very quiet on the fallow front.
On the.
But he's clearly been busy because he's got very muddy antlers.
Right,
Yes.
so he's been thrashing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good one to shoot, Robbie, isn't he? He's a really good one. Yeah, that is a real perfect cull buck.
Yeah.
I was explaining to David about the way that we set the high seats away from the stands.
Yeah.
So
Pick up the satellites.
Exactly these smaller bucks that are coming in for a look. Give you a hand with that, Rob.
Oh, swap out. Yeah.
That's it. Let's stay on that side. That's better.
Rob has a new fallow
that's the one to
call,
use.
so Phiz decides to give it a blast, back where we were.
It's a bit like playing an instrument.
Yeah, you got it too.
After multiple efforts to pull them out from the cover, we get the impression it was a heavier night than we'd imagined.
Amazing to see a really nice quality buck like that on the estate, and not a buck that I've personally seen on the estate, and to be honest, the majority of the bucks we see during the rut on the stands we've never seen before. They'll come in from the likes of the Ashdown Forest a few miles away. They could rest up there all summer, nice and peaceful, and then when the rut kicks off they come pouring into the estate to these ancient rutting stands which we've got here. And as I say, what we saw this morning was pretty unique, and David did a very good job of stealthily stalking to within, I'd say, 35 metres of him while he was asleep, I must say. But
Yeah, not me.
The pressure is always on Phiz to shoot a lot of deer to keep his landowners, farmers and foresters happy. But he certainly doesn't want the fallow gone. Far from it. The weather may be influencing the timing of the rut, but this deer manager is not upsetting nature's will by leaving the best buck in the area to do his thing, even though he looks terrible for it. Thank you, Fred, and thank you, Phiz. And Phiz will be on the Swarovski stand at the British Shooting Show, which is from the 16th to the 18th of February 2018 at the NEC, so you can go along and see him there. Later in this show, we'll be seeing Paul Childerley, who'll be on the Zeiss stand at the British Shooting Show. Fred, Phiz, and indeed Paul Childerley, what a wealth of deer knowledge. Now to a relative pauper on the knowledge front, it's David on the Fieldsports channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. The British Isles may have a new record fox. Viewer Taylor Shovlin from County Galway sends us this picture which shows him with a 30-inch fox he shot outside Athlone. It weighs more than 40 pounds. Game dealers are reporting a fivefold increase in demand for grouse. Restaurateurs report that the birds sell out when they appear on the menu, even though BBC TV presenter Chris Packham calls the game bird toxic and urged supermarkets against stocking it. Ochil Foods in Perthshire sold nearly 3,000 brace of grouse this season, compared to its usual 500 brace. However, a local Greens MSP says there are no assurance standards around grouse compared to, example, supermarket chicken. Here's how to bag a shoot day and help the Gurkha Welfare Trust. This film shows the work of the Trust, and the East Anglia branch has been donated a day's shooting for 9 guns at the Kildeston Hall estate in Norfolk for next November or December. The winner will be announced at the Royal Norfolk Show in June 2018. 150 tickets are available at £150 each. To buy one, go to bit.ly/Norfolk Shoot. A court in Strasbourg has banned fox lamping. Strasbourg allowed lamping in 2016 because it ruled foxes in the Moselle region cause harm. With this new legislation, foxes can still be hunted, dug out, trapped and shot in daylight. And finally, a Texas community is under fire after a film shows its owners' association trapping deer for slaughter. Until recently, the Spring Branch River Crossing neighbourhood carried out the legal practice of trap, transport and process to bring down deer numbers and solve local deer damage problems. In darkness, they bait, net and slaughter whitetails and catch up axis deer for sale to game ranchers. They're now looking at alternative methods of control. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Now, back in November, we joined the beating line and met 3 generations of the Smith family. Well, it's their big reward. It's the Beaters' Day. They've walked hundreds of miles, burned thousands of calories and clapped, clicked and brrrred their way through the cover crops and the woods. Now it's the climax of the season and the beaters' turn to enjoy the sport out front.
You run one on each shoot and it's a bit of a thank you for the beaters and give them like a shot of what they've been watching all season. And they come now, look, all happy, carrying a few cock pheasants, no hens I hope. They get everything from the day's shooting to the lunch afterwards, a few speeches and thank yous, a few flowers for the ladies, done a bit of the mid-mornings for the beaters, the morning drinks. Actually I noticed they move quicker on these days than they do on the normal days, so.
Controversial.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a very British tradition, but please do let us know if this happens elsewhere in the world. For our 3 generations of the beating line, it's a fantastic way to round off a tough season. Grandad Peter is feeling it a bit.
Yes, definitely. We've just done a season of probably 3-4 days a week beating on different shoots, so yeah, knees are feeling it now.
Is this the day you look forward to?
Thoroughly enjoy it. Can't eat much, but it's a day out with a gun.
And the abuse, did it calm down at all?
No, it was still going yesterday.
For the shoot day, he's wearing a more traditional Sealand shooting outfit. He's left the blaze orange at home. Have tent will travel. The fishermen might have shifted a bit out of the way, but clearly the fish still bite during a duck drive. The bag is starting to build and the focus is on shooting duck, partridge and cock pheasants. Paul wants to leave a few hen birds to build a natural population. Any hen birds shot today means a fine for charity, and that's another part of the day, charity. Huge amounts will be raised all over the country for good causes. Next we join Richard. He's a capable shot but doesn't do any other game shooting apart from today. He's a prime candidate to try the aim cam we've been sent to play with.
Put them on, they lighten up the sky brilliantly, nice. I thought they'd be in the way of the camera, but it seems all right.
Richard takes a nice partridge, and it's another busy drive for him and son Jack next door.
What we work for all year round. We always look forward to the beaters days, the end of the season. Done all that hard work, and then now it's our time to get a little bit back.
Have you worked hard then?
Yeah, I think I have. Probably not as hard as my dogs. But yeah, I think I've done my fair bit, contributed my bit to the season and to the team, I think.
How's the season been compared to others? I mean, weather-wise and bird-wise?
Yeah, I think it's gone really well. Yeah, plenty of birds about, still a few about now. Weather-wise, we've had a few really wet days, but obviously got this Sealand marsh jacket on. That's gone through all the weathers. I haven't got wet at all through this. I'd say better, if not better than last season, yeah.
Many people were full of admiration for Jack's attitude in our first Beating Line film. And out of all three family members, he's the one most revved up for today's shooting.
I like my beaters day, because I like my shooting as well, so been waiting all year for this.
How have you gone so far?
Yeah, good, I got a few. Yeah, I got a few.
You had one yesterday as well, did you?
Yeah, I got yesterday as well, yeah.
That's a lot. You're getting time off school, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about the gun you're using.
This is my 410 Yield It. I've had it for quite a few years. It's good. It hits everything that I want to hit. It's a good gun. Hopefully I'm going to be moving on to a 28 bore or 20 bore this season, which will be good.
He too has a go with the aim cam. Some of the partridge may look a bit low, but this is a clear up day, and that's what the shoot has asked for. The Beaters Day is a sign of appreciation for the hard work they've put in over the season. Does its existence make or break a beating line? Not at all. They're doing it to be part of the British shooting scene and spend time with like-minded people during the coldest and wettest months of the year. They must be mad. For more information about clothes built for the British weather, go to zealand.com, and for more about dog food designed to keep your dog fit and working in British weather, go to skinnerspetfoods.co.uk. Thank you to the Smith family, thank you to beaters everywhere from Guns Everywhere. And there's still time to enter our Beater of the Year competition. You can pop your entries in by February the 8th, that's tomorrow if you're watching this on Wednesday, and we'll announce the winners at the British Shooting Show. And another competition. A few weeks ago, Tim Pilbeam carried a Härkila rucksack around with him, and we offered one of those as a competition prize. Well, I've got the draw now. All your names entered into this rather techie looking spreadsheet on my phone, so we can scroll down, scroll up, scroll down, and I'm going to press on one of you. And the winner is Simon Dorset. Simon Dorset, who entered on YouTube, and he says, I fancy Tim's sack. I hope the embarrassment's worth it. Now, we all carry rucksacks to go around the world. Well, let's go around the world on YouTube with Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. You may have seen our Norwegian friend Trigger shooting a fox in Kent in last week's show. He runs the Norwegian Deer Centre, which arranges a free training hunt for first-time hunters. 2 boys and 2 girls between the ages of 16 and 25 are drawn to learn about wildlife management at the centre at Svanøy. Trigger stars in our first film in Norwegian, and as a result of that, a few people have pointed us to the films of Kjell Kvam, who makes excellent nature and hunting videos. This one is crow shooting. Staying in Scandinavia, quite a long film about stalking a single wild boar, but compelling. Wild TV stalks up on the animals on Swedish farmland. Fresh from winning Best Hunting Film at the Jagd German hunting show, Sebastian Steinbrink Minami has released a new film about hunting in Germany, where he shows how Germans maintain a passion for hunting in an industrial and agricultural dominated landscape. More Germans, Karsten from Jagd Total and his friend Bunzi, meet up with Timo to go deer stalking in the mountains of New Zealand. And Halali magazine editor Florian Mark travels with his father, brother and a friend to go out after the stags of Masuria in northern Poland during autumn last year. EagleReview.com's Andrea Cavalier makes another lovely film, this one on walked up and driven partridge shooting at Butler del Prado in the Spanish province of Guadalajara. And finally, Pigeon Shakari is out with a bunch of Asian mates on a walked up day in Norfolk, and there is some good shooting. That's it for this week. I have put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the I symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, that is it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please pop over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us there on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and best of all, you can pop your email address into our register form on our register page, and we'll contact you about this show. It's Field Sports Britain. It's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday, and this has been Field Sports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.